Welcome to X-Rated Math. The purpose of this video is to add polynomials. However, it may be useful to remember how hard, or at least tedious, just adding numbers is. If you can do this, then adding polynomials is easy. Just remember that x is a variable and that x can stand for any number. However, it is sometimes better to think of a variable as standing for one definite thing. For instance, C can stand for car, or better yet, my Corvette. Then 3C would stand for 3 Corvettes, and 5C would stand for 5 Corvettes. Then it's obvious that 3C's plus 5C's is 8C's. A mathematician would say 3C plus 5C is 8C, but I like to think of this as actual things. 2T would be 2 trucks, and 3T would be 3 trucks. Once again, it's obvious that 2T plus 3T is 5T, or 5 trucks. But what about 2T plus 3C? 5 Corvettes or 5C is wrong. 5T or 5 trucks is equally wrong. 5 truck Corvettes makes no sense at all. 2T plus 3C is as far as you can go with this problem. You don't have to do any adding at all. How could you misadd a problem where you don't have to add anything at all? Now let's talk about what s squared means. If you look at the square to the left, you see that each side is 3 inches long. To find the area, you substitute the 3 for the s and multiply 3 times 3, which yields 9 square inches. Therefore, the little 2 means that the variable is multiplied by itself. A squared number represents an area. Here we have a square in which the side is unknown. We say that the square has a length of x. To find the area, you substitute the x for the s, multiply x times x, and you get x squared. Remember that x stands for the length of one side, and x squared stands for the area of the whole square. Those are two very different things, just as Corvettes and trucks are not alike. So x and x squared cannot be added. Now how do we add squares? X squared could stand for one little yellow square. Then 3x squared means 3 little yellow squares, and 5x squared means 5 little yellow squares. Then 3x squared plus 5x squared is 8x squares, or rather 8x squared. See the little 2, the exponent? It didn't change. When you are adding squares to squares, you get squares. The exponent will not change. You change the exponent when you're multiplying, and this time we're adding. Multiplying is another lesson. This is a circle, and the line is the radius. R stands for the length of the radius. To find the area of a circle, you take its radius, square it, and then multiply by pi. In other words, the famous pi r squared. The area of this small circle is also pi r squared. The area of 3 circles is 3 pi r squared, and the area of 6 circles is 6 pi r squared. You could put a 1 in front of this pi r squared, but anyone can see that this is 1 pi r squared, so why bother? Now, 1 plus 3 plus 6 is 10 pi r squared. You can't add circles to squares unless you get the variables to match up. Pi r squared is different from just r squared. In adding this problem, you would say 1 pi r squared plus 3 pi squared is 4 pi r squared. Then bring down the 5r squared. This is the correct answer. However, there's a very good approximation that can be found if you must go farther. To do this, you must square the circle. In this problem, you know that the radius of the circle is equal to the side of a square. You also know that pi is approximately equal to 3.14. You can then substitute 3.14 for pi, multiply by 4, and get 12.56r squared. Now, bring down the 5r squared and add, finding 17.56r squared. This is the approximate answer. I showed you all the trouble that you would have to go to so that you would know that you cannot add variables unless they are exactly alike. So, stick with 4 pi r squared plus 5r squared. After all, this is the exact answer and a whole lot less trouble than the other. Now, we can add polynomials. 2x's plus 3x's plus 7x's is 12x's. Remember to say 12x. 2x plus 3y plus 7x can't all be added together because x and y are not the same, so you get 9x plus 3y. 2x plus 3x squared plus 7x squared will produce 2x plus 10x squared. 2x plus 3xy plus 7x squared is correct as is and can't be added any further. However, since your teacher's mental capacity is limited and they can't read your mind, you will have to either put down correct as is or 2x plus 3xy plus 7x squared. Well, that is all there is to adding polynomials. Remember, you add those that are alike and don't add those that are not alike.